So I had the best reading month I've had so far, and probably actually like a year and a half since the pandemic, to be honest. And I'm so excited to share some new favorites with you because this stack, oh, she's a glorious stack. And I had some mangas that I read too this month, in the month of May. I know I'm a little late on my wrap up, but that's okay. But yeah, let's get into it. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Nicole Dickerson, aka J&D, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a little May wrap up of all the books that I've read in the month of May. I participated in the Asian Readathon, and I believe I tackled all the goals for the readathon except maybe one. Do I remember all the goals and things? No, but I'm excited because literally almost all the books that I read were Asian except for two that were black, so whoopsie, but like who cares. The first book I managed to read was After Dark by Hiroki Murakami, which is a translated work, so that's to check off my Asian Readathon challenge. And I did end up giving this book a 3-star because though the concept is really cool, I found that I was kind of expecting a tinge more to it. The story is supposed to be kind of similar to Strange to Dreamer in the sense of being very whimsical. And I found that it was very whimsical, but it didn't come to a crescendo. It didn't come to a big thing. It just talked a lot about life. In this book, we follow a sister who has a mysterious past with her other sister who is unconscious for unknown reasons, which is part of the whimsy. But this girl is kind of avoiding going home. She's late at night at a Denny's just chilling. It's like 2 a.m. and she's just reading a book, and a guy stumbles upon her and they start talking and hashing things out about her sister. Then there's a hotel, there's a woman who is attacked at a hotel, but a lot of things just start happening, and it's cool. I love the way it is written. This writing style is phenomenal, but the plot was a little lackluster, if you know what I mean. This whole mystery with the sister and the whole night out of why she didn't want to go home, I was hoping it would hit a little harder than it did, but that's okay. It was still very whimsical, and I still would highly recommend it. It's still a 3-star. Maybe check the ebook or audiobook for free on like Script or something before actually purchasing it, because I almost bought this book and now I'm happy because I don't want too many 3 stars in my collection. I want to have 4 stars, 5 stars, books that really I think really fondly about. So far, After Dark is just okay. It was a good start to the month, got me reading, which is great. Next book I read was dun, 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 dun. I don't even know, I have to look. Oh my god, the next book I read was so good. It was Yesterday is History by Kosoko Jackson, which is such an underrated book. I highly recommend this, especially for Pride Month. So this follows a character who is black and gay. He has cancer, he is recovering from it, and he just got a kidney, or is it liver? Probably a liver transplant. Yeah, liver transplants, and that liver gives him the ability to travel through time. What wild. But it's so much fun in the sense of contemporary romance. He has love interests, plural. We love to see it. Most queer books, there's only like one love interest and you kind of just have to love them, even though they might have been mean or jerky at the beginning, which, you know, there's a guy in here who's kind of a butt, but he grows on you a little bit. I totally stan the other guy. If you've read this, you know what I mean. If not, read it so you know what I mean. It's such a great book. If you're picking up this book because you want the excitement of the time travel aspect, it is exciting, but it's more focused on the guy's life and understanding his perspective, the difficulties he's facing, and it's less so about the actual understanding time travel. So don't go into this expecting it to be super whimsical and fantastical. I mean, he jumps through time and does some weird stuff, but it reads more like a contemporary, just to prepare you. And since I have this book, let me read the first sentence for you. Please pick up this book, it's so great. Yes, so the first sentence is, on December 22nd, 2020, a boy just shy of 22 was hit by a drunk driver at 3:15 p.m. right outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And the story begins. It's so romantic. It is heartwarming and hard-hitting all at once. I definitely cried. This is a 4-star. The only reason I'm not giving it a 5-star is because I wish it was a little longer, and the love interest I won't say too much, but I didn't like him all that much. I think the main character is the bomb.com. The love interest needs to up his game, if you know what I mean. The next 4 books that I read were from my library, and they are Princess Farah. I think I've been saying Farah. Gosh darn it, this is like literally a new favorite manga. Like, how did I not know this book existed? Like, it's so good. If you like Yona of the Dawn, that energy of a badass girl learning to overcome herself and her fears and becoming like a badass, learning how to fight, learning how to be politically like accountable and manage armies. It's so amazing. There's romance, and literally I've never cried so quickly in a book. In the first volume, I was unexpecting in the first chapter, and I cried like a baby, like a sad baby who maybe like didn't get dinner, didn't get burped right, just sob, like uncontrollable sobbing. That was me reading this first volume. I highly recommend it if you want that kind of energy, because I've never cared for a character that hard before. And was a little bit of a love triangle aspect in here, but it immediately gets tossed to the wind, so don't worry. Basically, this story is about a girl named Farah who lives in a little village, but she just so happens to look like the prince of this kingdom who recently got assassinated, and everyone's now looking for Farah because they want her to take her place, or take the place of the prince, so the foreign kingdoms don't think of them as weak. There is also a foreign nation that is taking over and trying to basically wipe out the country, which is scary and maybe the cause for a lot of assassinations and deaths. There's a lot of death and fighting and brutality in this manga, so definitely just trigger warnings for that. But also I love it because Farah is such a soft character. She doesn't really want to hurt people. She wants to love and support people, and then people start dying left and right, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna keep everyone at arm's length, and I'm gonna be the prince I need to be. And there's so much politics and a little romance still in there, which is just, it's so perfect. I really want to reread the volumes just for funsies. It was so good. The next book that I have to talk about is a new favorite as well. It is This Time Will Be Different, which I recently also talked about in my underrated contemporaries for the summer. So if you want to hear a little bit more about all of those contemporaries, make sure to check it out. I really put a lot of time and effort into it. It has a lot of great recommendations, and one of them is This Time Will Be Different. What a phenomenal book. First of all, this talks about so many different aspects. It's hard to talk about all of them without like just, I don't want to spoil, but at the same time it's not really a huge spoiler. It's just there's so many facets to this book. It talks about Japanese internment camps, it talks about love, it talks about heritage and holding on to dreams, it talks about chasing new dreams and new realities, it talks about being a single mom, it talks about abortions, it talks about dating and believing in love and romance, how to be a good activist, how to be a good friend. The list goes on, and I think this is a book that everyone could read. It talks a lot about US history in such a fun and refreshing way that really educates you, but also gives you resources, but also lighthearted and fun, and talks about love in such a fun, unique way. So I think that's as far as I want to explain this book. First sentence is, Hannah calls it a state of becoming, but most people would probably call it chaos. Check it out, check it out. This cover too, guys, so underrated. Next we got Zara Hassan Was Here, right? Oh, Is Here by Sabina Khan. So this was the author of The Love and Lies of Roxana Ali, an amazing book, and her second book is just as good. I really enjoyed it. It was a little short for my liking. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Oh, and in case it wasn't obvious, this got a 5-star. But this is more of a 4-star. I really enjoyed it, but I think this is definitely really hard-hitting, straight to the point. So the romance in this one is a little bit on the back burner. It is not the focus. The focus is about the US immigration system and how it really doesn't work very well. It's not meant to be a smooth system. It's meant to keep people out. Like, one of the topics is how your boss is in charge of your visa. So like we all know, most of us don't have pleasant bosses. So imagine your livelihood, your child, because this is a family, mom and dad and a child. Your whole family is depending on you keeping your job to stay in this country. the daughter, the main character protagonist, has lived in the US since she was 3, and they brought her to the US because they wanted to give her her best shot at life and education. So imagine having your visa up or trying to get a citizenship, and it relies solely on your boss and on how the community looks at you, and other people's bigotry can get you in trouble. People harassing you for being Muslim can get you in trouble. It talks a lot about serious things, and it breaks my heart but also warms it at the same time. It talks about love. The main character is also bi, so we love that. Pride Month recommendation, highly recommend. But yeah, it was super hard-hitting. Definitely cried. There is a little bit of gun violence in here, so trigger warning for that. Be forewarned. The first few sentences: inhale, exhale, repeat. I focus on each breath, pushing the anger to the back of my mind. I love how this book, the main girl really just wants to live her life, wants to go to college, wants to be with her friends, and people, because of how they see her, treat her differently, treat her poorly, and it impacts her. And I love this book because it really shows you the really precarious place we put our families in, who are just trying to live their best life. So many good conversations, highly recommend. Next book that I finished was a Pride and Prejudice retelling called A Taste for Love by Jennifer Yang. Highly recommend. Another 4-star. This month was actually filled with lots of great books. I'm so excited. So this one is trippy because it's about a family, a mom and a dad, who own a restaurant. So the mom owns a bakery, the dad owns a traditional restaurant, and the mom holds a little bake-off competition, and this year she accepts applicants, all male applicants, all Asian, and the reward is getting to study along with the daughter. She's basically trying to hook up her kid, which is a little creepy, but it makes sense when you read it. The mom is trying to have her daughter live her best life, and she's really scared that, you know, that this girl's gonna not have anyone in her life to support her. Still a little crazy, she still acts a little crazy, and the daughter is doing her best to dodge all her mom's crazy date arrangements and things like that. But it's so much fun. There's a cute romance in here that talks about friendship and sisterhood, and there's just a lot happening with the competition that's also really fun, and rivalries. It's a very successful Pride and Prejudice retelling, if I just say so myself. And the first sentence is, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a mother in possession of great wisdom must be in want, nay, in need, of a daughter who will listen. Will the mom get what she wants? Stay tuned to find out." Or see my reading blog, because I think I have a reading blog where I literally read these 3 books. So check it out, check it out. The next 4 books that I read was Love Me, Love Me Not, which is a manga series, which at first was a little like, ooh, that's a little, there's a little stereotype or a little trope in here that's a little like creepy, but I'll get into it. So basically the story is about a girl who believes in love and romance and finding the one. She's gonna wake up and just find the one day, and there's another girl who is dating and really just trying to find love, but also just trying to enjoy life, and feels that you need to go out and find someone. She doesn't think it's just gonna happen, and I don't think she really believes in true love either. So both girls end up going to the same school, and they both fall in love in such crazy radical ways that they never could have imagined. The girl who was so whimsical at the beginning realizes that love is way more complex, and all this stuff happens, and it's crazy. The trope that I don't really love, but it seems to be handled well so far in the 4 volumes that I've read, is that the girl who's a little bit more hot-headed, she doesn't believe in love as much. She has a stepbrother, so they are not related through blood, and there's a little bit of a romantic interest from one sibling to the other, a little bit of an unrequited love between them, which makes a lot of things very complicated in the book, which I think, you know, is good for tension and things like that, but it does rub me a little the wrong way, because I'm like, y'all are siblings. But so far in this book, steadfast, that the girl is like, we are siblings. I'm working so hard to make sure that we can live a happy, comfortable life together where no one treats us poorly because they're like, oh, you guys are step siblings and you live together but you're not related, and being all gross and stuff. But yeah, rubs me a little the wrong way, but the book so far is handling it pretty well. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to continue this series. I think it has 7 more volumes. And for Love Me, Love Me Not, it's more of a 3-star to 4-star series. So I would say a 3.5. It is fun. I care for the characters, but it's not a new favorite. And sometimes I read it and I'm like that loud car zooming past, like, eh? 2 more books to talk about. We have The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. I am so happy I squeezed this in towards the end of the month just to get 1 more book, and it was so good. I read Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu. Loved it. So this one is about a girl. Her parents are divorced, but she lives with her dad, so a single dad, and she's very chill and rebellious. She doesn't care about getting good grades. She is kind of a prankster, and the girl, her kind of enemy in this book, is a really uppity black girl who's like cares about homecoming and prom and things like that, and the two end up hashing it out or having this serious like prank off, almost physical fight, and they both get in trouble. So it happens right at the end of the year. So their punishment for the rest of the summer is they have to work together in the Cobra, which is a food truck that her dad runs. But you know what's important? The feeling the book gives me. And this book gave me all the feels. I don't really want to spoil too much of this. This book talks a lot about romance and friendship, and growing and changing from friend group to friend group, and also realizing that when you behave, when you lash out, what is that doing to you? How does that benefit your life? And it was such an interesting conversation. I really like the girl sentiment in this, because it starts off with a lot of girl hate, and we discuss it in a very interesting way, and I liked it. Do I have anything else to say besides that? Nah. Read it maybe if you want something fun. The first sentence is, the paper plane was near perfection. I think Maureen Gu just knows how to really craft complex and fun characters that you just want to follow along and that you root for. So yeah, we also are rooting for the Cobra, the food truck, because they end up entering a competition. There's a lot of fun elements that happen in that book that I highly recommend. Last book that I managed to squeeze in before the end of the month is Root Magic by Eden Royce. I did a live show with Jess Owens, which was so much fun. I'll link it down below so you can check it out. But yeah, highly, highly recommend this. 5-star. Kinda new favorite middle grade, not gonna lie. So Root Magic is about 2 twins who are growing up in South Carolina in 1963. So it's a rough time. And they practice root work, which is something that is passed down from African culture through generations, by word of mouth, of how to heal and protect people. There's also some magical elements of keeping away hanks and hags. I think that's what they're called, like bad creatures who, you know, want to do bad things. So how to protect themselves. And basically the story follows Jezebel, who is 11, and she skips a grade from her twin brother, and she is kind of experiencing a lot of new things. Her grand just passed away, so she's dealing with that grief. She also deals with bullies, and she's dealing with learning and being in a new education level, also while tackling root work and dealing with the change in relationship with her brother. There's a lot of change happening within her, learning her magical abilities. It's so good. There's so many great elements. I highly recommend the live show. We talk a lot about all of those elements. They were so good. I can't recommend it enough. And the writing style, perfection. And also all the magical elements of the world were really cool. So I really, really enjoyed this book, and I highly recommend it. So the first sentence is, when gullah people die, babies in the family get passed over the coffin so the dead person won't come back from the beyond to take them away. Dun dun dun. Yeah, there's some spooky elements to this, so I recommend it to you. Those are all the books that I managed to finish. I think I read a total of 15 books. So I read all your comments even if I don't reply. And I love you guys so much. Make sure to comment down below this emoji down below if you stayed till the end, because that means you are the real MVP, and I appreciate you so, so, so much. Also, maybe check out my Patreon. I post a lot of extra bonus content there, reading vlogs, writing vlogs, bunch of stuff, so maybe check it out. My goal is to reach 25 Patreons so I can start doing buddy reads and live shows with you guys. But yeah, if you don't want to, no worries, just subscribe and like this video. That is enough love for me, and I love you just for even being on my channel. It means the world to me. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you a little bit more sunshine, and I will see you in the next one.